Hey, I'm Beth, and welcome to this live today. Today, we are talking about your burning questions about infidelity. So, I am Beth, I'm a marriage coach, I am trained in hypnosis, and I am here to talk with my friend Andrea about these burning questions. Also, I have a fantastic guide that you can grab, www.freemarriageguide.com, and you can grab that from my bio. All right, so I'm going to introduce you to Andrea. Specializes in being a love specialist. She's worked with couples and singles in cultivating a loving and intimate relationship. Her methods are based on spirituality and science. She has an MS master's in art therapy, and she's a certified yoga instructor, gifted healer, and she's what I love is the host of her podcast, Love Anarchy, sorry. And yeah, she helps others create this beautiful life of love on their terms. So welcome, Andrea. It's so good to have you.
Thank you for having me. This is my first live ever, so it's so nice to share with you.
Oh, well, I'm so glad to do this together. We did a podcast recently that I believe it's going to drop tomorrow on Wednesday. So
Drops
this is a
tomorrow.
little intro into some of that. So if you don't have time to watch this entire live, make sure you check us out we'll make sure we put the link in the bio, in my bio, but also in the show notes here. So yeah, we'll put that in there, and anyone can listen tomorrow as well once it gets dropped. Sound good?
Yep, so it'll be dropped probably, try to drop it around 5. So when people, the 9-to-5ers get off from work, they can listen to it.
I love that. You can listen to it on their drive home. Well, let's get started. We're going to do a short live. We'll be on for about 25 minutes or so, but we're going to answer a ton of questions, kind of rapid fire.
Yes.
So let me start with one. Let me see. Where do I want to start with? Yeah, what do we do? Like, let's take it right back to, I guess maybe we should start right at the beginning. How common is infidelity? Like, how often does this happen? Do you want to take that one, or do you want me to answer it?
Well, I think we both can. I can start, and then you can add yours. I think it's more common than we realize because people don't go out and talk about it all the time, or even maybe our close friends are having an issue with this. People are afraid to share it. So I'm even wondering in studies if all the information is accurate. But from where I'm coming from as a coach, it is very, very common, unfortunately.
Yeah, like depending on the studies, you can have 25% males, like 15-25% males, and they even say like 10-15% women. But like you said, like how much of it is divulged? I know when they do the studies, you might have a sample size of 1,000, and they'll figure out how many of those people are. So again, it is a study, but yeah, it's a lot. Like you could say up to a quarter of all relationships are impacted by infidelity. Yes.
Yeah.
So some other questions here. Let's go into the next one. So we know it happens. So what is some of the common emotional responses? And it depends on the person. Absolutely. Like every emotion you feel is completely normal. And I often find that my clients, it's a cocktail. It's like a big like stew of so many emotions, anger, rage, but also this deep sadness, like the heart breaks. And it's painful. It's really painful stuff. Like people often describe it as I feel like I'm dying.
Well,
The pain is so
it is
intense.
grief. It's grief and loss. So you go through the stages of grief, although it's a little bit different because it's ongoing. And you could get stuck in some of these stages and that fear cycle. And fight, flight, freeze, like a trauma response. And it is a traumatic experience when you learn that your spouse or significant other has cheated on you.
Yeah, and I'll add to it. Typically in the past, we always thought it was just fight or flight. So you either want to run or you want to fight back. In recent years, they've added freeze, like you're just like frozen. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You're stuck. Or the new one is fawn.
On.
So with that one, you're like almost clinging, or you're attaching, or you're trying to make things better. Your response is that you don't want this to actually happen, so you're trying to like almost fix it. So that's like a new response system that's coming out.
Yeah. And you can go through a series of these as well when you experience, and it's a traumatic event. It's a traumatic event to know that your significant other has betrayed you like that. And people often, when I work with them, feel like they're overreacting to it, or the fear comes in because they're feeling so stuck in it. Another thing that happens, people feel like they need to make a decision about the relationship right at that moment. Do you find that too?
Oh, absolutely. And I think we all know, it's advice we'd probably give anyone, is you don't want to make choices or decisions based on emotion. So we really have to get your nervous system, we can talk about that. Like everything needs to be grounded when you make a decision. You can make your traditional pro con list if you want to do that when you're trying to make a decision, but also we just have to energetically be in a very neutral place. You can't be in any of those really intense emotions to make that decision. And that's easily where some of that fight can come in. Like you want to fight them or you want to just flee, like I'm done with this. So you don't want to make those decisions in that autonomic response. And with those, when you feel that fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, that is an autonomic, like that is an instinctual thing that we've had, very primitive, and it comes on upon us, and it's not something that we can correct right away. Like you actually have to kind of feel it, but the moment you have awareness that you're in that state, that's when you can correct it. But when it first comes on, it's very almost out of body, out of mind.
Yeah, it's a very somatic experience too, and very hard to function. And I think that's the discomfort in it, because and that's why I'm like, you got to feel it. People's first reaction is like, no, I don't want to feel it because I'm not going to be able to function, but it's part of the process.
Yeah, and I think somatic, it's a word that gets tossed around. So whether people really fully understand somatic, it will help you with this healing journey. But somatic is really like the sensations in your body. It's not labeling, it's getting really curious. Like I often ask women, where do you feel this in your body? I often hear chest, throat, and stomach. They feel this like pit in their stomach. They have like a heaviness, like an elephant sitting on their chest, and their throat might feel really constricted. Mm-hmm. And so those are somatic feelings that you're having in your body.
Yep, and I've seen when people get angry, sometimes their chests will get red. So it's kind of, it means that's sitting right there. And our throat chakra is about expression. So how do you need to express it? And there's so many different ways you can do that. And oftentimes I suggest not trying to express it with the partner that cheated on you, but somebody you trust, or a coach or a therapist.
Yeah, it's a great kind of segue into what do we do? Like part of this healing journey and the burning questions about infidelity is like, how do I get rid of this anger? I'm so tired of being so sad, stuck, resentful. How do we get rid of those emotions? And it's a really good question. So we just talked about the somatic experience, so really feeling it, having that awareness is step one. What else would you suggest?
Oh, a lot. I mean, meditation. I know it's really hard to meditate when you're in that state, but then that is when you can really connect mind and body together. And when meditation, it's like kind of learning to tolerate your thoughts, learning to tolerate your emotions and understanding them. Yoga, I do yoga therapy as well, is like moving it through your body. And there's many ways that you can do it. It's just, how can we connect those thoughts that are creating those emotions and moving them through your body?
Yeah, let's make sure everyone understands that.
Yeah.
Like we have a belief system. This belief system is I'm not safe, or I'm not enough, or
it's my fault.
I can't trust. Whatever this belief system is, I can't trust him, I'm not enough. It then creates these thoughts of I can't do this anymore. I'm not good. Like I just said, I'm not safe. I'm not lovable. It creates all these thoughts, it then creates these emotions in your body. So those emotions that are flooding every cell of your body, in order to manage those, we have to get to the belief system. So we can go through this in terms of like talk therapy, but I think both of you are on the page that talking only takes us so far. It's very surface. It's very Band-Aid. We want to like literally get into the cells of your body. Like you said, through yoga, we store our emotions in our body. Energy, emotions are energy in motion. If it's stuck in you, that energy is not moving, it's just festering within you, which is creating that heaviness in your chest, the pit of your stomach. So yoga, phenomenal, because we store our trauma and our emotions in our tissues. So sometimes I know yoga mats, like women just start crying, and that's perfectly normal because you're having a release. You may not understand it, you may feel embarrassed, but it's completely normal.
Oh my gosh, I taught yoga for 20 years, and people are like, well, I can't, I'm too emotionally stuck right now. Stay in child's pose and cry, or any of the heart openers. Yeah. Expanding your heart energy and often facilitates the sadness and the anger too. Yeah. And so, and in a physical expression of it.
Yeah. And I use hypnosis to really calm that
Yes.
chatter mind. I use that to get you really relaxed, like as simply as counting back from 10 to 1, just enough to like really calm your body. And then going to a time where you couldn't trust, a time where you felt angry, a time when you felt unloved, a time when you felt not enough, a time when you felt not safe or out of control. And all of a sudden your mind just takes you back to these past memories where, yes, it wasn't betrayal or infidelity, but maybe in past relationships you had similar aspects. And so we're healing some of that too, so that we can heal your future. So a lot of like body work and subconscious work is what really, I think, in both our coaching, it does a lot of good.
Yeah, and you said that too. All the times that we've been betrayed in the past that we may run in our subconscious mind often comes up along with this new betrayal. So, or our old stories, our unhealed stories about what happened in the past comes up.
Yeah, I have multiple clients and they think it's them. They're like, am I attracting betrayal? It's like the third time, fourth time they've been betrayed by a partner in their life. And so even working through that belief, like I deserve this or what's wrong with me. So I think it's really important to really get clear on these beliefs. Let's hop into another one. This
Yes.
one is, let me see, like even just from a place of like rebuilding trust. Like, okay, number one, we come to the conclusion you want to save your marriage, you want to work on your marriage, you want to rebuild trust and the love. How do we even start to rebuild trust? I'd love to hear your opinion.
It starts with yourself. It's trusting that you've got you, and trusting that your wellness, safety isn't dependent on any outside situations. I always say people can't make you feel a certain way. And oftentimes, yes, people can behave in a certain way, but it's our translation of that creates those emotions. So knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay.
So well said. I'm sure anyone watching is like, isn't there a different way? But I'm like, everything starts with you. We have the ability to heal ourselves from within. And when you start to trust yourselves, you'll trust your intuition again, because your intuition's probably taken a massive hit. Often with infidelity, you've been seeing clues for a long time. You've seen red flags. You may even be judging yourself right now for not catching those red flags sooner. So you got to learn to trust your intuition, that little voice within you. And it's so small. Often the intuition can yell at you. It can be, hey, you got to stop doing this. But sometimes it can be really subtle, and you have to listen to it and learn to listen and trust it. Um, and then often what happens is a bigger voice may take over, the fear of, I don't know, I don't like that intuition suggestion. It's like we have multiple personalities within us. The one that we can sometimes label as ego, the one that's fearful, like I don't know about this, versus the other voice that's like, you know what, you need to do this, you need to speak up for yourself, you need to take that hard boundary and tell them, I need you to be home every night at 10 because that makes me feel safe in the meantime. Or, you know what, I don't really want to check your phone, but if I ever did, may I please have access to it? But then a lot of women are scared to set that boundary because, like, what if I push them away further? And that's a fearful voice. Our intuition is never fearful. It's always from a place of love and support. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of it, and I use this story. It reminds me of a pop-up book I used to read. Going on a bear hunt, I think, and in it they go through all these like mudslides, snow, and they always say you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you got to go through it.
Oh, what a good one. I love that. That's an Instagram quote right there. Okay, let's work on this one now. Let's talk about ruminating thoughts, these obsessive thoughts. And to me, it's your subconscious mind not settled. It's like, this doesn't make sense. I'm trying to figure out why. If I know why this happened, why he cheated, I should say she too, because we may have an audience too. My audience is predominantly female with husbands who've cheated.
Yeah,
But
mine is right now permanently male. So
interesting. Okay, so I should talk to both.
Mhm.
But if a partner's cheated, I'm trying to figure out why. Because if I understand why they did it, then me, the analyzer, the logical thinker, can then prevent it from happening
But
again. So a lot of times these
yeah, the
ruminating obsessive
partner may
thoughts,
not even know why.
yes, often, yeah, they might not, or they may know, but they're not willing to go there yet within themselves.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, we do that with everything. Like why this happened, then we could fix it. Like if I did something and I know why, because I didn't cook what you liked, because I wasn't, open to having sex with you, because this and this and this, then I can fix it if I know why. But
Yeah.
sometimes the why is a self-abusive question.
Yeah, tell me more about that
The
one.
asking yourself why, because the mind's trying to figure out an emotion. And in settling into it and just allowing, kind of coming from a Buddhist point of view, is not being attached to the why, but
Ooh, I love
honoring,
that.
yeah, and honoring your heartbreak and your feelings and the expression of that.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I also know when whys are important. When it comes to manifestation, I've heard this too. Like, you want to know, this is more in your own journey. Like, I want to know, why do you want to save the marriage? Like, if that's what you want to do, I want to manifest my marriage. And so the answer isn't why. Why? Because I love my husband. I want to give it another chance. I want to keep my family together. Those are my whys. In terms of how, that you
That's
surrender. That you can't figure
in
out the
with
how.
manifestation. Yeah, got to surrender that to the
Yeah,
universe.
that one. So different types of whys.
Yep,
Absolutely.
yep.
So how do we get rid of these ruminating thoughts? The why? How do we do that?
Well, I think talking it out and not just sitting alone, and like, and the shame too. If I tell somebody, it's going to be real. And if I tell somebody, I'm going to have to feel this emotion too. Again, you've got to go through it. So I suggest finding a friend, finding a family member that you can trust. And I'm not saying like put it out on Facebook. That's not a good suggestion. And you don't want people to be angry at your spouse or significant other, because that won't work either. But somebody who will create a container for you to work through it, and then find a coach, or maybe somebody who isn't, um, it doesn't have a relationship with the spouse at all, and it's just about you.
Yeah, there's something really powerful about whether you're talking to someone else, whatever, however it is, the outing, like the energy of it coming out, the words, outing, owning, acknowledging that you've done this. And it works with like the women I work with. If they see like they blame themselves partly for their partner's affair because they can see that they weren't as attentive. They were so overwhelmed with kids, being a mom, like work, that they almost grew resentful towards their partner, being like, you just go to work and you come home and help a little, but I'm doing like a to-do list that's like a mile long, right? And so they grow resentful. They feel guilty because like I pushed him away. If only he told me, but he didn't. And so them outing, just saying like I see my part in this is really powerful too. Like not taking the blame, but then saying like I see how I pushed you away. I see how I tried communicating my needs, but I felt as if you were like resisting my suggestions. I could see how my pain was being projected onto you. Like outing this is really important because then you almost feel free of it. You're like, I put it out there, and now whatever's supposed to be done with it can be done with it.
Yeah, because a lot of times people don't know how to communicate. That communication, or learning how to communicate, especially the difficult things, is really important. People don't want to say, well, I don't want to complain. But it's so important that you learn to communicate in a healthy and kind way. And people are afraid, and and it's not your fault that you don't know how, because so many people were not taught by our families about healthy communication, and we have to seek out that education and practice it.
One fascinating stat when it comes to communication, everyone thinks it's the words, but it's really the tone. Like 55% of communication is actually the tone. Like if I were to say to you, Andrea, I hate you, versus I hate you, like the tone is what communicated to you what that actually meant. Words are only like 7% of like the meaning and how it's interpreted by the other person. So body language, if I was like I hate you or I hate you, like you see the difference in the body language. So I think that's really powerful. This is a tip to anyone that's watching
Body
right now. Really, like the tone,
language,
be
you
mindful.
cannot hide. You cannot hide. So when somebody says, I never said that, but we communicate with our bodies and our energy.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about trust. Go back to trust. How do I start to trust again? What this fear of what if your partner cheats again, or what if he lies again? What if he's lying? Like again, these what ifs that keep popping up. How do we manage that? The fear of the future. If he's going to cheat again, he's going to lie again. What if the wool's getting pulled over my eyes again? How do we manage those?
I think it's addressing these things and developing healthier skills within the relationship. I think that's the beauty of going through these painful experiences, is that it kind of cracks open whatever was underneath the surface and wasn't addressed. know, go to couples therapy, then learn more of these skills, find out what's underneath it, maybe and unpeel that for yourself too. What was underneath your maybe resentment or behavior or unmet needs?
Mm-hmm. I think also the first part of trusting your partner is you choose to trust or you choose not to. It's one or the other. You can't be
I love
wishy-washy.
that.
Even if you're not fully trusting, you have to pick a belief. I choose to trust. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out of your marriage. You have to be, okay, I'm choosing to trust. And then what happens is we have the amygdala, which is part of our brain, and it's very sensory oriented. It's, some people refer to it as like the manifestation part of our brain, where it's looking for proof. So if I want to manifest that he's not a cheater, then I'm going to constantly be looking for proof. And the amygdala is like, okay, I see that he made me coffee this morning. I see that he texted me 5 times today, letting me know where he was. Like, I see. So the amygdala is picking up on all the sensory, the sounds, what things look like, what things feel like. And so it's helping you manifest. So if your belief is, he might cheat on me again, and I'm worried he's going to cheat on me, I'm not sure if I can trust him, your amygdala is constantly sending on neurons, these sensory neurons that are looking for the proof that he's probably doing this again. So our brain is ridiculously powerful. Like, our willpower can only take us so far. We really have to ingrain these beliefs, like I choose to trust, and then work on the times when, like, work through that pain through like a hypno journey, which is what the method I teach, to really undo the past hurt so that you can be separate from it. So it's like you can close the door. You always remember it happened, but you're closing that chapter. You're in the new chapter right now, the new marriage, the new relationship, or I choose to give this marriage another try. And you're in that chapter. You're letting the old pain go, releasing it kindly, lovingly, giving it space somewhere else so it's not in your brain trying to find proof that it's happening again.
Yeah, and it's okay if you can't the next day say, yes, yes, I trust him. I'm over it. It's a process. Betrayal is big, and it is a process, and you may not know if you're able to do that until you work through the things that may be connected to it or betrayal from the past, and getting really clear and separating that. And you're right, and closing that chapter and opening up a clean slate. Because
Mm-hmm.
if it's done right, you're going to change for the better. And then
Yeah.
the relationship will change for the better.
Yeah, and that clean slate, it's not like wipe, we're starting fresh. I don't like that statement. We're like, we're going to start fresh again. Like, no, there's no way. Your mind is imprinted with all these memories. We can't, like, consciously, you can be like, okay, today's a new day. I'm going to pretend like nothing happened, or I'm going to start again. I'm going to see what happened. But it's a slow erase of the things that have happened. And it's not an erase. It's just like a cleansing, maybe, because it's still there. Okay, I have another question here. How do you get them to open up? Like, I have a lot of clients whose partners are kind of going through what appears to be a midlife crisis. Um, Maybe they have their own childhood trauma, which is like poking up big time, and they can see why they're not opening up. There's a lot of stuff going on mentally. What are your thoughts in
Well,
helping
first, in
those?
you saying that, I talk about emotions coming out, squeezing out the cracks, because when we push things down for a long time, and the longer you're with a partner, it's going to come out one way or another. There's things that we're not conscious of that come out, and then we get triggered, and and sometimes behaviors go awry if they're not addressed correctly. But in talking about, you can't control and make your partner do anything, and knowing that, but having a little compassion that obviously this isn't like them to do such a thing. It's not something that on your wedding day they were planning to do or anything, and knowing they're human too, and having some compassion, and remembering that they're human. And yes, and there was one point that you felt a lot of love and you felt loved by them.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I would suggest too, if your partner is going through what appears to be a midlife crisis, like they're not acting like themselves, even their friends and family don't recognize them in the same way, is you need to get clear on what your boundaries are. Are you willing to hold space for them, to stand by them, to wait for that? I don't love the word wait, but are you waiting for, like, you know what, you're going to keep showing up as your best self, keep doing your inner work, using the triggers that you have with your partner as a way for your own personal inner growth, allowing yourself to feel more loved by yourself, feeling like enough? Are you going to use their kind of distance from you as a time to go inward? And if that feels right, then that's what you do. But if you feel like they're constantly crossing your boundaries, it's time to maybe change the course of the path. Like, it's okay. I just want to give the permission out that you don't have to stay in an unhealthy
No,
relationship just because you feel
no,
like. So
yes.
I just want to give you that permission. But a lot of people do stay. They're like, I want to stay because this is an opportunity for me to work on me. It's not comfortable. I feel really like discombobulated. I don't. It's the worst. It's like living hell. They often say, I wish my partner would just die, because then I'd be grieving their death, not the grief of like the person that I was married to, and now I see this other person walking around.
Yeah. Yes, and you're re-triggered over and over and over again. And it is, and it's such a wonderful opportunity. People say, what? This pain is a wonderful opportunity, but all pain is the motivator for growth and change, and getting to the other side, whether you stay with your partner or not, can be such a beautiful, beautiful things. And sometimes you're going to change so much, the relationship may not fit you anymore. You may have evolved and bloomed so much that, you may not want to be in the relationship anymore. And that's okay too.
Yeah, what do you say to these people? So a lot of people feel judged for staying. They're like, my partner cheated, and I feel like everyone's eyes on me being like, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're dumb for staying. Why would you let someone treat you that way? They might feel like, I'm not loving myself by staying. Like, what do you do? How do you cope with those thoughts, those
Oh,
feelings of
and
judgment?
know too that people saying that, they're triggered. They're
Yeah.
they're trying it on and saying, "Oh my gosh, that would be so painful," and they're uncomfortable because they're thinking of putting themselves in that situation. So know that people are triggered, especially people close to you, and it has nothing to do with them. And it is your decision. It is your marriage and your personal life journey.
I always say, if you feel like others are judging you, you're probably judging yourself too. Like, you're not strong in that belief that you should be staying. And I think that's really good to get clear on. We're working through the reasons why. Is it that you don't feel like you're enough? Or maybe you did feel stupid or dumb in the past, or maybe you have stayed in an unhealthy relationship in the past and you're judging yourself for it again. So I think that's the first spot to go, is when you feel judged by others, looking like, do I actually believe this is true? And then, of course, knowing the lens in which those family and friends are seeing you. They just don't want you to suffer. They don't want you to be in pain. Plus, they come in with their own baggage, their own past traumas of possibly being betrayed or hurt in a marriage. So
Exactly.
let's do this. Any final thoughts? We've come to about half hour. What would you like to finish with?
That you're not alone in this. And unfortunately, many other people have experienced it too. And know that people do get out the other side. It does feel like it's an impossible journey, but if you hold true to yourself and your own healing and trusting yourself, um, you will make it through.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll make it better. We don't always know how it's going to end, but you will be better. I do have couples that have said our marriage is stronger because of this. And I have couples who have decided to exit their marriage, and they still say, you know what, like the wife in particular who I work with, she's like, I'm in a better place because of this. Like, I love myself more. I am enough. I have like stronger belief in myself, stronger spiritual belief, whether it's religion or whether it's like a universe. Like, they feel way better connected to themselves and like a higher power. So yeah, it will get better. So let's do this. Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on Facebook, and that's Andrea Atherton 17, Drea Atherton on Instagram, and my website is andreaatherton.com. And my podcast is on there. My podcast comes out on Wednesdays around 5 o'clock, and that's the Love Anarchy podcast. And
Amazing. Thank you, Andrea. And I'm Beth
thank
Miller.
you, and you're on tomorrow.
Oh,
So
yes, I know.
yeah,
I
if you
can't wait
want
to listen.
to see us dig deeper into a lot of these topics, go ahead and take a listen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll have to do this again. And then anyone that's from your side, I'm Beth Miller from Soulify Wellness. I'm a marriage coach, and you can find me at soulifywellness.com.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.